Hello everyone, and thank you for joining us on this dairy replacement webinar. So Chris and myself are just going to run you through some of the things that we think Breedr can really help you with when monitoring the growth rates of your replacement heifers, why that's important. And I thought we'd just start things off by having a bit of a poll just to see where everybody is at with what they're currently doing and how many heifers they're sort of rearing and so on. So I'll launch that now, and it'd be great to get your ideas.
Very interesting questions there.
Yeah, I hope so. It'd be quite interesting to see what people are coming out with, and if anybody is weighing, and if what they're getting as their average age of first calving.
Yeah, well, hopefully by the end of this webinar, we would have demonstrated what we can offer in terms of helping achieve some of these targets. So
yeah,
good.
Just wait for a few more responses.
What are the results looking like so far? Interesting mixture.
Yeah. So it's quite interesting seeing what people are looking for on their key traits for the replacement heifers. So calving ease, growth rate, and longevity are coming out on top.
Very interesting.
Yeah. Okie dokie. I will end that then, and we'll crack on with the presentation. Okay. So
are we able to see the results of that poll, or are you going to wait until the end?
I'll wait till the end, shall I, and then share them afterwards.
Yeah, cool. That'd be good.
Okay. So what we thought we'd do is just sort of run through some of the key targets that we're sort of aiming for from our replacement heifers. So Chris, if you could just
next one,
on to the next slide. Yeah. So I think this is fairly standard industry knowledge now, that it's a case of by the time that the calf is weaning, we're looking for 2 times the birth weight. By sort of 12 months old, we're looking for 50% of the mature weight. And by 24 months old, we're looking at 90% of that mature cow live weight. And that sort of just sets up your replacement heifers for a really good and productive and long life, hopefully, with the final sort of 10% achieved within the months following calving. So that works out at about a 0.8 to 0.9 kilogram a day growth rate from birth to conception. So it is quite a strong performance, really, which is where weighing really comes into its own, and being able to sort of keep track of that and yeah, make sure that the cow's performing from the moment it's born, really. So I think on the next slide, we've got a bit of information on why that's actually important and sort of the benefits of achieving that. So after feed costs, replacement heifer rearing is actually the second largest expense for the average dairy business, and it accounts for nearly 20% of your total cost. So getting it right is a huge benefit to your business from sort of a cost point of view. By reducing the average age of your first calving from 26 months to 24 months, you can actually knock 16% off that total rearing cost. So, I mean, I know in our business and everything else, if I could think something quite simple in management changes could actually reduce costs by 16%, that's a huge difference to the bottom line. And every day that a heifer runs on over that 24-month period is costing an average of £2.87 a head. So that's really quite a big sort of margin, really, that you're losing by letting them run on. So as well, research by HDB found that heifers go on to have higher milk yields and perform for more lactations when they do achieve that 24-month calving. So it sort of benefits you throughout that cow's life as well, and sort of helps the sustainability of the herd. So And then the final slide from this bit is just some practical tips to sort of help get those heifers off to sort of a flying start, really, and to build that sort of cost saving in right from the get-go. So maximize your feed conversion and ensure your growth rates by using scales to accurately weigh milk powder. So move away from that traditional just sort of scoop of milk powder in 2 liters of water. Actually weigh it, because ultimately your calf is converting that feed at the most profitable time and the most efficient time. So getting the weight on early is a really great way to set them up for future performance. So weigh your calves regularly to identify any checks in growth rate that could indicate a problem with rational health issues. So by weighing your calves regularly, you're actually able to spot problems as they arise, rather than wait until it's a visible problem and a visible check in growth rates and everything else. So it's really important just to give that extra visibility on how your calves are performing. Clean and fresh water encourages intakes of calf starter, so that just helps the calves sort of develop sooner and drives that intake from a younger age. So straw is the best forage to feed, so sort of reduce your hay and silage usage, as it'll help sort of foster that intake of calf starter nut. I think, Chris, you're probably better sort of positioned to speak about this with your background in nutrition and stuff. So
yeah, I mean, effectively, as we're all fully aware, when a calf is born, it's not technically, it's not a ruminant. It's a monogastric, and the whole kind of point of calf rearing is rumen development. So if you're feeding a calf who doesn't have a fully functioning rumen yet, a fermentable feed in silage and hay, then effectively it's just not gonna, the calf isn't able to deal with it, which is where you get things like those pot bellies, because that forage is just sat there not doing anything. So I mean, it's recommended to feed straw, all the way up until 5 months, and make sure that rumen is fully functioning and developed before you move them on to fermentable feeds.
Yeah, absolutely. And then sort of the final tip really is assess the shed environment. So it's ensuring that there's plenty of fresh air, but calves are out of the draft. So making sure that they're not actually feeling that chill and using energy to sort of keep warm rather than grow. And also provide adequate drainage to control moisture levels. So that again sort of has the dual benefit of not only helping keep that animal healthy, but also if you're not having to treat for pneumonia and things like that on a regular basis, it also helps your antibiotic usage and everything else, which is a big topic these days. So yeah, so the final slide really is just sort of handing over to Chris to go through some of the tools that we've got in the Breedr platform to help you sort of monitor that growth rate and sort of pick the traits that you're wanting out of your heifers, really.
Yeah, cool. Okay, so kind of seamlessly link over to the app. So please fire in any questions that you've got. Thank you for that introduction, James. And if any questions do pop up, James, I'll ask you to kind of monitor them and fire them out. So kind of based on everything that James has just said, I just wanted to do a bit of a demonstration of the Breedr app and show you where and how it can help you. So starting off on the dashboard, then once you've got all of your animals in and set up, from the My Livestock page, you've just got this big list of all of your animals, where you can set them up into groups. And as you can see, I've got one group down here, replacement heifers. So, and what I can do from here is when I'm setting up that group, I can set my target weight and my target date. So for these girls, that I'm targeting that 390 kilos, which is about 65% of my target mature weight of 600 by the 1st of June, which is when I'm planning on, putting the bull out with them. So, which for those of you interested, the 1st of June is only 47 days away, which is what, another 21 days on top of that when lockdown is going to be lifted, apparently. So,
hopefully.
Yeah, so you can use Breedr as your own countdown to release. So kind of on this page, then we got obviously a general information on the weight range and the age range. So what I can see here is I can see all of my animals, and I can order them in terms of, you know, their number. So click on the top here, or date of birth, whatever, however you want to organize them. But what is more interesting is if I then click into a particular animal, what I get is on this performance tab, and this is all to do with the growth rate. So what I've done is obviously I set my target weight and my target date as part of the group, and that is plotted on this graph here. So in the yellow horizontal line is my 390 kilo target, and you can see there's this faint line here, which is my target date of the 1st of June, and then obviously today's date. So what I can see then from this particular animal is along this solid blue line, that is my growth target. So from the point of birth all the way to my set targets, I want my animal effectively to be along that blue line. And what I can already see is from the point of birth to its first weighing, which was roughly in the end of August, actually this particular animal was slightly underperforming because it was obviously under the blue line. But then by the time I weighed her again in November, she'd picked up, so that growth rate had increased and she was on target. And then by the beginning of January, she's actually performed really well and is now over target. And if I hover over these little blobs, I can see a bit of information there. So at 7 months old, she was 226 kilos, doing 1.25 kilos, whereas before here, she was only doing 0.64. So already, just looking at that trend in growth rate, I can already kind of sense that, well, actually, between March and August, September time, when my animals were out to grass, that kind of is already highlighting to me that maybe I need to have a look into my grazing management, because I'm losing potential growth during that period. But it's also telling me that when they come in over winter and they're on my winter ration, that actually they're really, you know, performing really well on my diet, but actually it's costing me quite a lot of money. So maybe what I should be focusing on for next year is maybe getting a bit more of an improvement out of my cheaper grass to increase this growth rate towards the blue line. And then that might actually enable me to, you know, change my winter diet to make that a bit cheaper, and I can actually afford to drop performance a bit. Because what I'm seeing here in the green dashed line, that's our growth prediction algorithm working, that's predicting what this animal's growth is going to do. So based on a number of different fields and data points within this animal, but most importantly, these pre-recorded weights, it's predicting that actually she's probably already over the target of 390 kilos. And by the time we get to the 1st of June, she's actually going to be more like 450 kilos if I keep her going. So again, using that prediction model, it just enables me to make those kind of decisions earlier to hopefully get her on target, you know, when I need her. So that's an example of that kind of animal. If I were to go back to my group, and again, I can order in terms of their last or the current estimated weight or the last weight that was recorded. So this is going in from the lightest animal to the heaviest. Well, I can actually see this one at the top. There's quite a big difference in between, you know, her and her peers. So if I were to click into her, then I can see a very, very different story in terms of her her growth is she's never been a good performer. I can still see that same kind of trend in that, you know, grazing tends to be worse than winter. But this particular animal she's been miles off my blue target. So, you know, again, that just enables me to look into that. But probably the most important thing about this graph is obviously realizing and noticing that this animal is a poor performer, but we need to know why. So why is she a poor performer? So what I can do from here is if I click on this history tab, because I'm a, you know, strong avid breeder user, I'm logging all of my activities, that everything that I do to this animal, I'm making a record of it. And when I do that, it's logged in this history. So already I can see, you know, there was that January weight that I took, and then there was this weight that I took on the 5th of November. But I also gave her a dose of Metacam, because when she came in November, she had a cough for some reason. So, okay, fine, something's already been highlighted to me. But if I scroll down and I load some more activities, I can actually see that when she was born on the 17th of March, weighing 43 kilos, a week or so later, she had another dose of Metacam, and that was for pneumonia. So already I can see that maybe the potential reason for this animal having that poor performance is because she actually got a bit of a poor start in terms of she had a pneumonia issue. So again, that's something that's highlighting to me. But what I can also do is I can actually delve a little bit deeper, and I can actually start to look into her genetic line. So I can see here that her mother, number 1177. So if I go back to my livestock and I search for her mother, 1177, and I select her. So this is her mother. Then what I can do is I can click on her offspring tab, and every time I log a birth in the app, what I do is I log the calving performance. And when I log the calving performance, it's all noted here. So I can see here that number 65, who is our poor performing heifer, I can see that when she was born, she was considered as a large calf. We needed the vet to help, and she just didn't really quite get going. So she didn't suck within 2 to 3 hours. So, you know, maybe she didn't quite get the quantity and quality of colostrum at the right time. Maybe that was a precursor to getting the pneumonia. So I can see that number 65, our heifer, she really didn't have a very good start. But also, just looking at all of those other calves that this particular cow has had, there seems to be a trend that, you know, she seems to produce large calves that need assistance and that don't really hit the ground running. So actually, what this is starting to tell me is number 65 that I have as a replacement heifer has obviously not had a very good start in life, but she's potentially carrying kind of undesirable genetics through her mother. So actually, I think what I will do, sorry, if I go back onto here, sorry. So if I can click here, I can click on number 65, which takes me back to my heifer. I think what I'm actually going to do is I'm not going to send her to the bull, and I'm going to get rid of her. So what I can do that from here. So I click on change group. I'm going to put her in my 2020 fat stock, and I'm also going to move her to Barnfield, which is where those fat stock are. And that's obviously updated my graph because I've set a different target for that fat stock group. So that's kind of an example of how you can, you know, monitor and look at your animals. But again, now going forward, and I'm thinking about, right, well, I need to put the bull in with those cows. Well, I can use the same offspring feature to decide what bull I'm going to use. So if I unfortunately, I've only got one bull to show you, but what I can do is, again, I can go onto the bull's page and I can click on his offspring. And again, I can see all of the offspring that he's ever sired, so 60 in total. And again, I can just get a really good snapshot view of what kind of calving performance this chap is offering. So birth size tends to be small to average, which is good. Assistance seems to be, again, pretty good. So actually, for a bull that I can put to a replacement heifer, I think I'm going to be quite happy with that in terms of his birth size and difficulty. So, so again, really powerful tool, and it just enables me to make these really easy snapshot decisions, based on generally good data and good information. So, there's loads to help you there with. Any questions at all, James? Are we anyone asking anything?
We haven't yet, so anybody attending, please feel free to send us any questions.
Yeah, no.
But I think it just shows how sort of powerful the breeder system is, and being able to demonstrate the links between performance and genetics. Now you can actually make decisions that do have a physical impact on your bottom line as well. So, I mean,
Yeah.
the bull system works with AI bulls as well as stock bulls, doesn't it? If you've got them in there, so
Yeah,
you can really see what those AI bulls are actually doing on farm in your cows. So I think it's a really, really powerful tool.
yeah, and again, adding your sires. So if you want to go to the settings, at the bottom of the bottom corner, you go to your settings and click on sire information. Then this is where you can log all of your bulls. So AI bulls as well, that you're using. Put them all in there. And then when you're recording those activities, whether it's an introduced sire activity, then the option is there to choose who the bull is. So as much information as you can log as possible. It helps effectively feed the system, and we can give you that kind of insight. In terms of reports, again, we've got a sire and dam performance report. We are going to make some improvements to this report, just to improve it and make some better insights. But again, this is effectively showing you, what bulls are producing the best, growth rates from their offspring. So again, what bull is producing the greatest 100 or 200 day weights, what's the best daily live weight gain. And again, you can order them in terms of daily live weight gain. And so again, you can choose your bulls based on calving ease, but also, daily live weight gain. So, as James highlighted in his presentation, what was the target growth rate of, what was it, like 0.7, 0.8 kilos?
0.8 to 0.9. So it is actually quite a strong growth rate, really, right the way through its life. So
yeah, so
have a big impact.
Yeah, definitely. So this kind of data is going to help you hopefully achieve getting the calf out as a start, but then when it does, it will hit the ground running and achieve your targets. So and then I can't kind of not talk about hopefully everyone's seen the adverts and everything, but we've very recently produced and released this breeding KPI report, which again, make sure you're logging all of the breeding activities, and it will start to populate for you this kind of report, which again it's calculating all of these really key KPIs, which including your age at heifer calving, so you can see what kind of age you're doing, and again the percent that are calving at 3 weeks, which is a really good indicator of fertility. So and then there's just a list down there of all of the activities that you need to be logging to help populate that KPI report. So again, a really, really powerful tool. We have so that it's divided up into service years, which obviously starts from the point of service, and so that you can compare cycles year on year. So I've got 4 years worth of data here, and I can see how I'm improving, or areas I need to focus on. So again, really, really powerful tool that you guys can use. So yeah, any other questions before we kind of starting to come towards an end now?
Yeah, so feel free to pop any questions in the chat, or I'm sure if you contact Breedr, we can get questions that way through social media or anything else if you think later on about a question that you have for us. So
yeah, no, absolutely. Like most of Breedr is built on user feedback, so more than welcome to have any sort of contact. So please get in touch. I suppose we're kind of ready for have we got any of the poll results, James?
yeah, so we had, how many replacement heifers do you calve per year? We had an average of 50, so quite a reasonable bunch. The average age at first calving was in the 24-month to 26-month bracket. So everybody said that they were aiming to reduce the age at first calving. Most people said that they weren't currently weighing. So I hope that this will have changed your mind.
Yeah.
As far as the traits that they're looking for when we're breeding replacement heifers, the ones that sort of came out on top were calving ease, growth rate, and longevity. So very much focused on ease of management and profitability over its lifetime, really. So I think all of this can really contribute to that.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I mean, yeah, that's exactly what we've shown. Exactly what I've demonstrated tonight is, that calving ease analysis and growth rate. So, and making decisions off that. So yeah, hopefully some powerful tools that people can use.
Yeah. So thank you very much for coming along, everybody. Yeah, hope you found that insightful, and look forward to seeing some of you at the next one.
Thank you very much, everyone.